So welcome, everyone. Thank you for joining Teams Day Online today. It's been a great morning so far already. We've had some amazing sessions. Really appreciate all the interaction and all the volunteer efforts of everybody, from the guys on the committee that's managing it to the guy to everyone from a moderator perspective. You guys are doing excellent. And of course, our speakers and our attendees. I love yous all. You guys are amazing. I appreciate the efforts and all, and I love to see the learning that's going on today. The conversations that are being had from people all over the world. You know, going from 1 minute having a conversation with somebody in the UK to Afghanistan to Australia to New Zealand to Finland to Brazil to forget who else I talked to, but people all over the world today, and are just amazing conversations. And I love this community and the opportunity for all of us to come together and have a conversation today. So with that, I want to jump into a journey through collaboration and talk about how we got to where we are today and where we're going in the future, specifically with Microsoft Viva for Teams. So let's jump on over there. Okay, so here's the early years of collaboration. You know, think about how collaboration has evolved. Collaboration technology initially started out as desktop publishing, and that was considered collaboration. And eventually it evolved into document management and in the late 90s and all. And, you know, does anyone remember Microsoft Site Server? I wonder if there was anybody on our call today even that maybe wasn't even alive when Site Server was the state of the art for collaboration. In many ways, you know, Site Server was the predecessor to SharePoint, which eventually became Project Tahoe and emerged as SharePoint 2001. And there were a lot of growing pains through that time, but, you know, we suffered and struggled through, you know, managing and sharing documents and through governance. And, you know, the first few years were, you know, it was a step forward, many steps forward, but we were learning too, and learning better ways to manage our information as a companies and community. In SharePoint in 2007, SharePoint really took the next huge step forward, you know, with enhancements that included things like workflow and improved integration with Office. And it was becoming more of a real collaboration suite at that point. And, you know, we got dashboards, we got, you know, better authentication, better capabilities for sharing with partners and all. But yet we continued to struggle with how, you know, with a great new tool, but how best to manage the information and all the documents that we had now in SharePoint. And, you know, it was exploding. So the number of sites and subsites and site collections was just going off the chart. And I've often in the past referred to it as an electronic jungle, and that, you know, an electronic dumping ground, essentially, for information, where, you know, people would drag and drop stuff from file shares or from their desktop into a SharePoint library, and then wonder why, you know, things were tough to find later. All the embedded folders that we had to deal with at that stage, that's gotten better. But, you know, we've certainly, you know, grown through that process. And, you know, no matter how you look at it, you fast forward a few versions of SharePoint, and we're still getting better at managing that information and how we collaborate. You know, I'll skip back a few years, but say the world of SharePoint 2013 and 2016, you know, we're getting better at managing information, but collaboration is still not there. It's much better and easier for us to pick up the phone and talk to somebody and have a conversation real time to get things done than to try and do things through email or through, you know, putting a document in a library and collaborating on it that way. So even when we had Skype in the environment, it was better, but we were still working with two applications. We were communicating in one and working in the other. Still not kind of that zen of collaboration. So, at that stage, enter Microsoft Teams. And to me, that was truly the evolution of SharePoint, but it's the first real tool that enabled real-time collaboration that is side by side with our information. So we can have a document that's in SharePoint, have that open in a browser, working and collaborating and seeing what other collaborators are changing in real time with that document. And that was a huge improvement over what we had in the past. But we're still missing some pieces. So, although the integration with the Office suite and into Teams and everything is getting better, once we get that integration with Teams, now we've got the video conferencing and the chat on top of the managing of the documents and all. So it's that next leap forward for us. So, it's the vision for changing how people work with real-time collaboration that is finally coming to a fruition, and it's getting real. And that's where we were kind of at with, I'll say, the first 3 years of Teams. In some ways, Teams was really clunky when it started out. I always said it looked like there was a developer in a back room at Microsoft that over the weekend hacked out the interface for it and said, I'm going to tie in SharePoint, I'm going to tie in Planner, I'm going to tie in these pieces, and wow, look at this great tool we have. And you know what? It is a great tool, but it's still not quite there. And, the thing is that in the last year, with all that evolution and all, the thing that made the greatest change in how we all work is the COVID-19 pandemic. And what a change that made to everything. And, I honestly think, Microsoft CEO Satya Nadella phrased it best. He basically said, we have seen 2 years of digital transformation in just 2 short months. And I couldn't agree with that more. But looking back now that we're kind of a year beyond that all starting, I know I've seen companies that have taken leaps and bounds forward, and I would say their transformation has been even greater than 2 years worth of transformation, on the edges of 5 years of transformation. So, we're really in a world of real-time collaboration now, but we still haven't seen everything. But we've reached a point where we've got 115 million daily active users on Teams, 30 billion meeting minutes, and growing. The whole entire world has transformed into a model where working remotely and collaborating via video conferences and calls is the new norm. So it's really changed the way people are working. And today, many CEOs expect that a large number of their employees will never return to an office building. And for myself, the only time I'm going to an office building is when a client asks me to. My days of having an office are done. We don't need it anymore. We can collaborate as if we were in the same room together now. So in just 4 short years, Microsoft Teams has filled the gaps that we've had for the last 16 years. Well, going back to the beginning of SharePoint, 21 years really, has enabled us to fill those gaps by bringing both of those tools together. So now, greatest thing, are you ready for the next step in the evolution of collaboration? This is the next paradigm shift that's coming. Well, say hello to Microsoft Viva. Microsoft Viva empowers people and teams by bringing in real-time collaboration, insights, learning, and knowledge into an integrated employee experience right inside of Microsoft Teams. So it's bringing those two together. Microsoft Viva, basically it is the next, I see it as the next paradigm shift in how people work and collaborate. And that's a comment from me. I don't want to put words in anybody else's mouth with that. That truly is how I feel about it with what I've seen of it. So more than ever, people are the key to business success. With everybody being so distributed, it's key to have that communication and ongoing collaboration in order for businesses to be successful. In this world, though, of hybrid work, it's harder than ever to engage with employees, to drive culture change, to upskill the workers, and to ensure the well-being of your team. There's never been a bigger need in the technology space for technology, data, and insights that are designed to create a great employee experience as there is today. Viva is Microsoft's integrated employee experience platform. And that's a new terminology that I will say that prior to Viva, I had not heard of. Now, I don't want to go as far as to say it didn't exist, but that's a new moniker for me. And I think it explains Viva really well. So, Viva's designed to empower the people and teams to be their best. It helps them bring together communication, insights, knowledge, and learning into the flow of everyday work and how people work on a daily basis. And that's that paradigm shift that I'm talking about that is still, even with the way Teams was recently or is today, prior to Viva, is still a shift where there's a lot of shifting around and moving between apps and all that you do. Viva is built into the apps. It's built into apps like Teams, Outlook, Office. So it brings everything integrated into a platform, and it really leverages probably somewhere around 65 or 70% of the technology that is Microsoft Viva is actually technology that already has existed in the Microsoft 365 platform. So the majority of Viva is not new technology. The new technology is the layer that exists that it brings it all together and surfaces up for people in a manner in the way they work. So, they've designed it, Microsoft has designed it with employees at the center with a clear focus on meeting increasingly complex needs. Microsoft also designed Viva to respect privacy and to protect company data. As part of the Microsoft 365 platform, Viva sits on top of the trust boundaries that you've established inside of Microsoft 365. So if you're using information barriers in there to separate different areas of your company, Viva respects all of that and respects those privacy safeguards and provides protection for your employees in that case. But what's important is the human experience side of it. It's the important that we're putting people at the center of business now, so that business can achieve the goals that they have, that they need the people performing at their best capabilities in order to achieve those goals. So this is about helping employees be the most productive that they can be, learn to upskill quickly, and to continue to grow their own careers by leveraging the solutions that they have available to them in Microsoft 365 right out of their homes. So the employee experience, as I mentioned, it's a top priority for companies and therefore top priority for Microsoft. From a business owner perspective, I can tell you the clients that I've shared Viva with are just super excited about its capabilities and what the Viva platform brings to the current landscape. So it really is allowing us to show us how to help our clients do more and achieve more within their businesses, to basically better themselves both on the organizational level and on a personal level for their employees. So Viva, I mentioned, it's a consolidation of services that already exist. There's about 65% that's already Microsoft 365 platform. Maybe it's a little more, maybe it's a little less. And then the remaining is all new functionality. So what we have with Viva is there's really 4 key areas: Viva Topics, Viva Connections, Viva Learning, and Viva Insights. And, to kind of just go through an overview of these today, Viva Connections leverages SharePoint, Yammer, and Teams and delivers an integrated experience to help employees focus on the right news with dashboards to help them identify the correct activities. I'm going to jump into this in a little more detail, but that is available today. It was released on March 31st, and it's very easy to set up, and I'll come back to that. But the next part of it is Viva Insights, and Viva Insights uses the privacy protected data, those information barriers that I mentioned, to help provide guidance to individuals, teams, and organizational guidance on how to protect people's time and ensure that teams are being connected and they get the coaching they need on how to best balance individual productivity and organizational goals. So we'll talk more about that in a minute. So Viva Topics, it actually uses artificial intelligence and is prior or incorporates SharePoint syntax and all of those capabilities. So it's leveraging that artificial intelligence there to organize information into accessible knowledge and orchestrate that information into topic areas and topic pages that are delivered up through Microsoft 365. And then the last area is Viva Learning. And for me, this is my favorite. I'm a constant learner. I love to learn. So, Viva Learning, it integrates both content from third-party sources with organizational level content, with content like Microsoft Learn and LinkedIn Learning. All of that comes together with Microsoft Viva Learning. So with that, Viva can empower basically employees by giving them the great experiences that they need to put knowledge to work and connect them to the experts that they need to help solve problems on a daily basis. It personalizes the information that people get so they get the right information at the right time. And so Viva helps them take the right actions that they need to be able to take. And as I mentioned, Viva lives inside of Microsoft 365. So all the security, the privacy, the compliance, all of those capabilities is extended out into your employee experience with Microsoft Viva. So Viva is about learning. It's about learning faster and making decisions faster inside of your company. So let's talk about Viva Topics. Let's start going through each of these. Viva Topics in Microsoft Teams, it enables hovering over a topic on a piece of content, and it gives employees an instant summary of that topic. So you can have things on your intranet that have like HR information, and this uses topics that are also coming out of SharePoint, and it basically creates a summary that appears as a topic, and it lists the key documents, the top subject matter experts. There's no searching, there's no app switching. The information finds the employees in the apps where they use it every day. So all they have to do is hover over a topic and a word will be highlighted as a topic, and they will get a pop-up with the card with all of that information. So, Viva Topics, it automatically creates those cards based on the content inside of your SharePoint environment. So all of that information that I talked about that's been building up and building up and building up. So much for my Surface. Okay, so maybe I should stop. So it's building up information. Anyway, Viva Topics basically pulls that together and uses the artificial intelligence capabilities to surface it up in a way so that users see it within the environment that they are working in. Yeah, so it combs through everything and goes out, it indexes all that content, and then the AI capability surfaces it up. But with that, Viva will automatically assign experts to that. But your knowledge managers within your organization, the people that are responsible for curating content, they have the capability to go in and manage that content and specify, who the actual expert is within the company. So they have the capability to change that, and it really kind of comes down to how you want to centralize or decentralize the model of the curation of that content. So initially, Viva basically does it. It's all out of the box artificial intelligence that's generating those cards for you. As you start deploying Viva Topics into your environment and training your people, you can bring up a group of knowledge managers that are responsible for key subject areas, and they can become the curators of that information. But as you continue to roll that out, just like we saw with SharePoint and things like, being a power user and the capabilities, as the environment, as the team matures, as their knowledge of the product matures, that can become more decentralized and decentralized. So allowing to put those capabilities in the hands of the end users. So things like, take Wikipedia as an example. Really, anybody can go out there and update a piece of content. Well, Topics has the capability that as your users become more knowledgeable, you can give them those capabilities and extend that out to them. So, there's a lot of learning going on in the job, and Viva Topics basically connects you to the knowledge and the experts that you need around a specific topic. So when you come across an unfamiliar topic or acronym, just hover it. There's no need to search or anything for the knowledge. The knowledge basically finds you. So, if you want to know more about the information in the topic, you can just drill down into it. You can see resources, conversations, anything related to the topic that the, artificial intelligence that's part of Viva and that came from SharePoint syntax is basically surfacing up there into those topic pages. So yeah, Topics basically helps you manage knowledge and all the manage the knowledge and information inside of your organization so that you can deliver it to the people, your employees, when you need it. It gives you the capability, what are the best practices for sharing that information and making sure that knowledge comes through as part of the context of how people are working. So it's a platform that drives innovation. It basically brings together information with the subject matter experts, with the capabilities of teams from a communication perspective and all, so that people have the information they need on a daily basis. The other thing is there's also a Viva Topics web part so that you can create a, say you have a quality site or a safety site, you can have the web part basically filter out content from Viva Topics so that it's just displaying content that is specific to quality and on that site. So you can have all these different web parts, in different site collections across your company that is pulling from Viva Topics, but only surfacing up a subset of the information that's being captured as part of Viva Topics. So Viva Connections, I mentioned that we were going to jump down into this a little more. So another great piece of technology. What can I say? We've been working with Teams now and SharePoint, and I'm amazed on a daily basis how many people don't understand that SharePoint is underneath of Teams, and the Teams is really a layer on top of SharePoint. They really, even with the files and all, they don't understand that they're putting stuff inside of SharePoint. So with Viva Connections, that's all going to change, because it really brings all of that SharePoint pages and functionality up to the surface. And I've struggled with explaining Viva Connections to clients in a perspective of, are we bringing Teams into SharePoint, or are we bringing SharePoint into Teams? The truth is they're both true. It's a merger of both pieces, and you get all of that functionality there surfaced up. So, it allows your employees to basically stay more engaged and informed, no matter how they work or where they're working. So Connections basically gives you a customized version for your organization where you can personalize content for your employees, feed, put specific content into the news feeds for relevant news, announcements, conversations. So your employees are always staying connected and in the know. And, there's a dashboard as part of this that basically are connecting the employees to the company resources and tools and all from Viva and across your digital workspace. So, the biggest part of this, I think, is that, is really what was called the home site app. And I guess technically it still is. That basically, not basically, it becomes your employee's connection to your SharePoint intranet. It brings all of that functionality from SharePoint and surfaces it up in Teams in a way that's easy to get to and easy to see. So it's called the home site app, and it brings that your SharePoint home site that you have today, it brings it into Teams, and it puts it on the top left, the left rail at the top, so that you can have quick access to that information. So it's your employees' connection to news, Yammer stories, any of the other content inside of SharePoint, and it gets surfaced up there. So, really exciting capabilities here. I love the navigation down the side and all of it. So it's, surfacing up that information. So, it targets that content to the user with the dashboard and the newsfeed capabilities. It brings that content that's published there and makes it available through the feed. And you can use all the capabilities of SharePoint, things like audience tagging and targeting to present information up in there. You can even do things like with topics cards here, that where you can target information out there. So, on this dashboard, if you have, say you're a global organization and you have an HR department for the US and you have one for each of the key regions around the world. Well, you can put these cards on inside of Viva and target content to them so that, an individual that's in the US is seeing HR specific content from the US office versus, somebody in Europe is seeing content that's specific for that region. So, it gives you a great capability there in terms of surfacing up that information. I mentioned that, at this point, Connections is generally available as of March 31st. So you can basically go out, and there is a PowerShell script that, a couple simple steps that'll take you through enabling it and creating that home site app and making it available in this app store for your organization. So you get all of that capabilities. And if you want to, as you start testing it today, you can use a policy to restrict access to actually who sees that, who sees the home site app and any of the functionality that's associated with Viva Connections. So, yeah, I mean, it's basically, Microsoft's taking the work that you have done from your home site and pulling it inside of Teams. Everything that you are doing in your current home sites today is basically being moved forward with you into the desktop experience with Teams. And so you have access to that. So Viva Insights, that's the next one. And this is really, really people-centric. And I guess there is some of it in Microsoft 365 already. But this is probably the area you're going to see the most growth of new functionality that's being added. So, Viva Insights, it helps you work smarter, thrive with, personalized reminders, to help you prioritize and focus on specific work. Helps you do things like allocate time for coaching and learning, and take regular breaks, and mindfully wrap up your day, with a virtual commute. Some of the things that you're probably already seeing with Cortana, and if you have workplace analytics, if you're using that all comes together as part of Viva Insights for your employees. And there's actually 3 different versions of it. There's Viva Insights Personal, and that is free. And that's like a lot of the stuff that you've been seeing. But then there's also a managers and a leaders version of it that provides insights and recommendations to basically foster healthy and successful teams and build organizational resilience. So that you're just a more stable organization. But Viva can help managers see if the team is at risk of things like burning out. Are they working just too much? Are they not taking enough breaks? But it enables the managers to see that, and then they have the capability to take action and to help the employees develop a more healthy work style so that they're not working 24/7 or anything. So it surfaces that up for them. It also, it helps them understand the impact of those work patterns on people and on the business. And so it helps managers, leaders, and employees being more successful and just foster well-being for you, your team, and your organization. And I mentioned that really is there's 3 components of it: Viva Personal, Viva Insights for managers, Viva Insights for leadership. And this is kind of a look at what it looks like. And this is more of the personal capabilities from it, but you have you have a capability for scheduling breaks. You can set up focus time to work on different projects that you need to actually focus on. Allows you, and it coaches you to, not the right words, it prompts you to schedule time for mentoring, and as well as doing things like planning a virtual commute to the end of your day, so that people actually disconnect from the work. And we're all working at home, so we know how challenging that has gotten to be. And then it also gives you some emojis to kind of how are you feeling on a specific day, and includes that information as part of the analytics that gets surfaced up. So you can see what's happening over. But it's basically offering a new experience to balance productivity and well-being. It enables the employees to stay at their best and most productive. It enables employees to just add structure to their virtual workday. And I know that's something that I've struggled with is, I feel like I'm working all the time. So it helps build that structure back into the lifestyles that people were used to when they were working in in an office. There's also a Headspace app that's part of it that enables employees to just take regular mental breaks. So to do things like meditate and all, and reminds them to basically take those type of a break. And it also reminds employees to basically schedule one-on-ones and to take time to praise their colleagues and coworkers also. So just a quick look at this. It's just some of the capabilities there in terms of the meditation, but Insights for Managers and Leaders offers insights into how work happens in the organization, how the impact is on employee well-being. It helps managers identify where teams may be isolated and enables them to take actions to break down any type of silos. It helps them quickly identify opportunities to prevent employee burnout, promote coaching, development, and boost engagement. And it enables you and your team to thrive while your organization builds that resilience. And Viva Learning. So I know I'm running over on time. So try and wrap this up quick because I talked about some of this, but Viva Learning is the hub for learning inside of Microsoft Teams now. And it's basically bringing, it's a learning experience platform, another new terminology, but where Microsoft is offering something different because of the integration with Teams. So it brings all of your learning resources together in one place. So inside of Viva Learning, you'll find content that has been assigned to you or recommended from a variety of sources, including things, your own custom content on or content from like a learning management system or the other types of content providers. I mentioned LinkedIn Learning and Microsoft Learn. That integration's there. There's also going to be more integrations with things, third-party sources. So things like edX and SAP SuccessFactors and Saba. There's a whole list of integrations that are coming to allow companies to pull that content inside of Viva Learning. So it includes the capability to assign training to employees. So I mentioned for things like quality and HR training and safety training, so that you can tell when they've completed something, how they did, and you have those capabilities there. Companies have the capability to organize their own content using Microsoft Stream and then surface stream content up through Viva Learning. So, Viva Learning it seems very much like a surface that, it's just pulling content from different sources, whatever sources you're using within your organization. So, but with Viva Learning, learning basically becomes a natural part of your day and lets everyone learn in the flow of work. So it kind of does away with the let's go out and take a corporate training class type of mentality. It's basically learning while you're working. And, as I mentioned, managers can basically assign different learnings and courses and, monitor those for completion and all to do things like accelerate employee onboarding. So all of those capabilities are there. It helps the employees develop their skills and grow their careers as a person. It helps the leaders use it to create a learning culture within the company and empower people to basically do their best and be at their best because, by doing that, that's, by learning new things essentially. So by bringing learning into the space where they already spend their time, it's easier for the team members to gain the information they need to grow their careers and contribute to the success of the business. So everybody benefits. And Viva Learning basically lets anyone pin a learning tab in a Microsoft Teams channel. So you can see on the screenshot, you have SOAR Learning, and this would all be the information that's specific to that project. But you can surface that up so that it's specific in all four of them. Another integration that I think I missed was Cornerstone On Demand is another LMS that you can integrate into it. But team members can search for and select content from the learning library. So there's a course library, learning library, where all that content is surfaced that they can search through just like you do with some of the things like Pluralsight, and select the different courses. And from there, basically, the information gets surfaced up where they're used to, collaborating, communicating, and getting their work done. Viva Learning adds the selected content to the learning tab so they can seamlessly transition from learning to other important work activities and back. So, basically multitasking. Employees can basically customize that experience. They can simplify it and basically supercharge what and how they learn all in one place. There's what's called the My Learning view, and that's that personalized dashboard for them where they can select a course, take the courses, and basically see everything that's either been assigned to them and the courses that they have taken in the past. But it uses AI to basically deliver personal learning recommendations also. So it's not just things that the employee has found helpful and selected for themselves. And it's not just the content that managers have assigned to them, but Viva Learning has AI built into it that it goes out and it says, okay, another employee within the company that's in the same role found this training helpful. So then it surfaces it up to other employees that are in that same role within the company as suggested learning for them, and they can choose it or not. So the last part of Viva Learning is really, many of us are using learning pathways today, Microsoft Learning Pathways. There's a lot of companies that have deployed learning pathways and are using it. Well, you'll be happy to know that learning pathways is basically all being integrated into Viva Learning. It is on the roadmap. My understanding is it's coming sooner versus later, but I don't have a time frame. But any updates that are being made to learning pathways now will basically be a part of that seamless integration with Viva Learning. So if you have learning pathways, you can continue to use that and continue down that path. But as Microsoft gets closer to general availability with Viva Learning, they'll also announce more of the partnerships and all that they have for additional LMS extensions or additional LMS integrations, and as well as API integrations for partners to be able to integrate Viva Learning into third-party applications and all. So one of the things I wanted to touch on as part of that also is regarding the flow of information between Viva Learning and an LMS, whichever you're using. Viva Learning basically has the capability to pull learning from an LMS and surface that up inside of Teams. But then vice versa, it also has the capability to write back to the LMS with whatever type of information, on like things like course completion and all, so that the LMS is still the official record of what training was completed. It's also SCORM compliant, or in the process of being SCORM compliant. It's being built to be SCORM compliant. So Microsoft's basically working with the various content providers and all to assure that their content is also SCORM compliant. So if you're in the education field, I know that's important to you guys. And lastly, really these are the features, and there's much more coming to Viva this year. But Viva's basically brings all of that insights, learning, knowledge together into an integrated employee experience that enables your employees to be their best and to enable the whole organization to thrive. So that is a summary of what Viva Learning is, or Microsoft Viva is, including the different components, the learning insights, each of the components that are there. I know there's some sessions this afternoon and tomorrow that are going to do deep dives into each of those modules. So I would encourage you to check those out. And I guess the last thing I have is, to please fill out the event feedback for us, and as well as the session feedback. And I'll tell you, I love to know what you guys are thinking, what you want next, what we can do better. how we can just make this community better, because, I'm speechless over, the value that I've gotten from the community, and, the learning that I see going on. So, thank you all for everything that you have contributed. So that is the end of my session. So let me see if I can find if we have some Q&A. Dwayne, are you tracking anything?
Yeah, I got you. There's a lot of people are itching to know when this will be available. You got any insight for us on that?
Sooner versus later. It's coming soon.
Do you have any information on the licensing for this? Will this be an add-on, or will this be included in any SKUs?
So it is an add-on. There will probably be some components of it that it will be freely available, because Microsoft loves to, get you to take those first few bites of something. So, I mentioned, like for example, so each of the components have their own licensing associated with them. So like Viva Connections, well, that's really free. But, Viva Topics has a licensing SKU associated with it. So you'll get some capabilities of that. But then there's a $5 a month licensing fee per user that's associated with it. Connections, I believe, is free. And Viva Learning, I believe, kind of goes with that model like Insights does, that where it has like the personal aspects of the learning is going to be free. But then as you get into the more of the manager and leadership and the organizational aspects of it, there's licensing that's charged and all for that.
A couple of comments I've seen kind of comparing this to Delve and possibly being a replacement for Delve, and Tammy even mentions that it kind of blurs together when you've got Delve and analytics and my analytics. And do you have any thoughts on the direction of that? I know the Delve mobile app is going away and being replaced by Outlook, so maybe this is kind of an indication of the direction this is going.
Yeah, I don't know specifically about Delve, but I mean, workplace analytics is essentially being pulled into this. So any of the capabilities across the platform that it's using, I don't know which ones are going to go away versus which ones are going to be there. But I think workplace analytics was one that's going to be. It's basically all being sucked into Viva Insights now.
There was another comment that I think would be useful if we are able to locate any kind of licensing overview that as it pertains to Viva. I know there was some information distributed in another session I saw about licensing, and basically you can be a specialist just in understanding Microsoft's licensing structure. So
yeah, I agree with that. So I've been working with Microsoft since 1997, and I've never understood the licensing, because depending on who you talk to, it's different, and you get a different answer. And it's probably easier today than it has been over the years. But it is a beast in of itself. So
if anyone else in
I do have some information on the licensing that I can share. I just got to pull it together in a format that's consumable for everyone.
Yeah, I'm sure there's a lot of people on the call that would definitely appreciate that. If there's anybody in the audience that has a question they'd like to ask verbally, if you'd go ahead and raise your hand, we can get you unmuted. And while we're waiting on that, my only question is your Surface okay?
Yeah, I think so anyway. I don't see any major cracks or anything in it, so
that's good.
Such is life. I have to give more room when I'm speaking, is what it comes down to.
Leanne's reminding us we should do our group picture. So if anybody out there wants to not be camera shy, go ahead and get your camera turned on. Make sure I got mine on. We can do a big group picture in together mode, and I'm sure Russ would appreciate that. So let's
Yes,
get
I
that
would.
lined up. Russ, I'm going to take you off Spotlight so that I can have the together mode.
Okay, sure.
Go screen. Give everybody a couple more seconds, and then I'll ask for a big smile.
Well, still got people popping in.
Oh,
Thank you all.
I see Kevin down there. All right. We're going to do a big smile on 3. All right. So we're going to go 1, 2, 3. Awesome. I'll drop that in the chat for everybody.
Thank you, Dwayne.
No problem. Looks like our other sessions are getting fired up, and I'm going to head over there.
All right. Thank you all for joining. Enjoy the rest of the day.